I am being joined here again by Alex Doriot of Talking Taker fame. Thank you for being here on this special watch along episode where we are watching In Your House Buried Alive from 1996, The Undertaker versus Mankind. And this was chosen by Alex himself. And do you want to tell the listeners why you decided to go with this match today?
Absolutely, I will. And thank you for letting me join you. It's my pleasure to be back here on Collecting Deadman. I've been enjoying the show as you've been going along and enjoying listening to your journey and, never leaving a dead man, never leaving a taker behind or on the shelf. I try to do that myself, but the shelves are usually pretty barren where I'm at. But I try to do the same. But so yeah, you asked me to come on to do a watch along with you. So I was trying to think what would be a good one to do. And this one popped into my mind, In Your House, Buried Alive, Undertaker versus Mankind, to go along with the theme of your show, which is collecting dead man, collecting all the dead man memorabilia. And so the Buried Alive match, to me, it represents one of my favorite Undertaker pieces of merchandise from when I was a kid, which is the Jack Specific Buried Alive action figure box set, which I got as a kid. I don't know if I got it for Christmas or for a birthday or for what, but it's, as you know, it's got Undertaker, Mankind, Paul Bearer, and the Executioner all in there. It's got the headstone, it's got a shovel, it's got the urn, it's got the Executioner's axe in there. And man, that was one of my favorite Undertaker toys that I ever had. One of my favorite action figure play sets, period, that I ever had. It was just so cool that you got 4 figures in there. You got a Paul Bearer figure, which was like, I think he had a Bendham figure before that, but I never had that one. So this was like my first Paul Bearer figure. It was my first Mankind figure. And I still have all 4 of those figures to this day in my collection. And when I think of collecting dead man, that's one of my favorite pieces I ever got. So I thought we could do the match that goes along with that.
I love it, man. I love that. That's probably my favorite Jax box set, that and the Bad Blood one.
Yes.
They really knocked it out of the park in both of them. And I think that's a great way to start off in this watch along series. You start off by picking it. Dealing with action figures. I'm impressed and I love it.
In that Bad Blood set, I never knew about that until honestly like a year or two ago. I never had that one growing up and I never saw it on the shelves. And back then it wasn't like today where you just hop on Ringside Collectibles or listen to the major wrestling figure podcast and you learn about all the new figs. It was just, you either saw it on the shelf or you didn't know it ever existed.
Yeah, it's something I just stumbled across like maybe about 5 or so years ago. I was like, I never knew they made this.
Yeah.
And
But I recently got the Paul Bearer figure from that one, the blonde Paul Bearer, from Randy Turco, who's a friend and listener to both of our podcasts.
Yes.
But he got that box set. He didn't want the Paul Bearer that went along with it. He only wanted the Undertaker. And I was like, I'll take that Paul Bearer off your hands if you don't mind.
That's, just collectors helping collectors here.
Yeah. Good times.
And it's really interesting you picked this one. I have not seen this match in like the longest time. So I'm glad that you picked it. It's one of my favorite eras of The Undertaker. I loved him in the black and purple. It's not The Undertaker I grew up with, but it's like an Undertaker I love revisiting. So
yeah, this is his last match in the purple gloves. So we'll get to the end of it and all of the shenanigans that go on with that. But yeah, it's an iconic look for sure. You've got the figure right there on your desk and the shirt representing it as well. So it's definitely an iconic, a memorable look. It's the first ever Buried Alive match, a very unique, memorable matchup for sure. And I haven't seen it since we covered it on Talking Taker, which was probably about 3 years ago when we covered this one. So I'm excited to watch it back as well.
That's great choice then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So for the people listening at home with us and want to join in, you can find it on Peacock. and season 2, episode 6 of In Your House. It is labeled Buried Alive, and we are starting at 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 14 seconds. And as I count down 3, 2, 1, hopefully nobody has any ads, and we can press play. So are you ready, Alex?
I'm ready to do this.
Awesome. So 3, 2, 1, play.
So yeah, video package highlighting this rivalry, which was going on for close to 6 months at this point with Undertaker and Mankind.
Yeah, and I love the old school video packages.
Yeah,
Something I feel that's missing nowadays.
Oh, I agree, man. It's like, Travis and I on our podcast, we talked about this a lot because, we'd go through each match and we talk about all the buildup, and we would say off and on there, honestly, you can just watch the video package. You don't need to go back and watch all the Raws and SmackDowns and everything, because they used to be so good about showing you every detail in the video package. You could just jump right in and know the whole deal.
I know. They're literally going through the entire rivalry right here.
Yep. It's such an iconic rivalry for both guys.
Mm-hmm.
It added so much depth and layers to the Undertaker's character, as Paul Bearer turns on him and joins up with Mankind. And we see Undertaker out on his own for the very first time.
Yeah. And this rivalry, I think, it's the beginning of the turning of becoming Undertaker more darker. It's like Mankind's pushing Undertaker more and more to the dark side, which culminates in the Lord of Darkness and Ministry.
Yep, it definitely, you see a lot of that come through in the next year as well. Yeah. But this is definitely the beginning of it. And, he loses the purple gloves and the purple hat and purple tie. That's part of it as well. I think trying to become a more, less of a cartoonish character. Those elements are always going to kind of be there with the Undertaker, all of the supernatural stuff, but becoming a little bit more realistic for this Attitude Era that's starting. We're starting to see elements of it even here in late '96.
Yeah, like you just said, he ditches the purple, he dresses all in black after this, and totally transforms the character.
I will say that's my only nitpick with the Buried Alive playset, is that it's representing the Buried Alive match, but the Undertaker in it is the wrong Undertaker. It's like the Survivor Series '96 Undertaker.
Yeah.
So that's my only nitpick with it. But as a kid, I didn't care. It was just a new Undertaker figure. So
that's right.
And I did have the purple gloves, Jax. Was that Series 1 or Series 2? I think Series 1, right?
Yeah. He's in Series 2, but he's glow in the dark in Series 2.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have that one. I had the original one. Mm-hmm. So I had that one, but I believe his arm fell off or something. It was one of those.
The major figure podcast talks about this. The first run of it is complete trash.
Yep. I did. Zach Ryder or Matt Cardona, he talked about it on there. He got them and returned them all because they were so crappy. Mm-hmm. I did the exact same thing. I got 3 or 4 of them, and I said, "Mom, I can't play with these. These are terrible." And we taped the box back up and returned them. But then they kept putting them out, and I was like, I need to go back and get them. I really want them. And they did improve. The next ones you got were the joints were a little bit tighter. And they got better over time.
Mm-hmm. See,
so Mankind, coming out
with Paul Bearer.
And I get Mankind, he just gets put on the map immediately as a star through this feud with the Undertaker. That's just the awesome part of it. He was Cactus Jack in WCW and ECW, and he had a little bit of a following, but in the WWE, that doesn't always mean everything. So it takes a guy like the Undertaker, just putting him on the map and letting Mankind beat him up so badly and destroy him like nobody had before and pick up all these wins on him. I mean, to this point, no one had really done that to the Undertaker.
Yeah. And I like that little thing Paul Bearer just did with the urn. He flipped it upside down.
Yeah.
Just the little things. So it's not the same. He's not the same power he's giving Undertaker. He's flipping it.
Paul Bearer was so good at that stuff.
He was.
And look at this. Those are not cell phone lights, ladies and gentlemen. Those are actual lighters that people have in the crowd. That is so cool to see.
It is so cool to see. Another thing I loved growing up, seeing that when the lights went out, you see the people with the lighters. It just added so much to his entrance
Oh yeah, for sure.
because you had the actual flames. And now
Look at this.
Undertaker without a hat, coat, or tie.
Nope, he is coming to fight. He
He's
is
ready
no
for business.
nonsense. Yes, he is. And little touches. Paul Bearer's great at him. Undertaker was great at him too. He always thought about stuff like that. I don't remember if we see it in this match, but a lot of times in the Attitude Era, he wasn't concerned about hitting all the beats of his entrance. If it was a real intense rivalry, he would just walk to the ring and start going at it, like with Stone Cold. A lot of the times they would
Yeah.
not do all the poses and all that sort of stuff. And there's the King and Vince McMahon on commentary. How about that commentary crew?
I love Vince on commentary.
Me too.
I do. I love Vince on commentary. He
Yeah.
may not know the names of all the moves, and he may be awful, but he just adds something to it.
Oh, definitely. He's bringing the excitement and the intensity to it. As these guys, that, like I said, they're not wasting a minute here. Undertaker and Mankind throwing punches. They're not doing a lockup. They're not waiting for the ring announcements here.
No.
And
I don't even think Undertaker went to the steps to raise the lights. I think he raised it from the apron.
Yep. He is just ready to fight.
Mm-hmm.
They've had, I think they've had two matches to this point. They fought at King of the Ring, and they fought in the Boiler Room Brawl.
Yeah, Mankind's up 2-0.
He is. Yep. So Undertaker, he's never been down like that before, and he is showing you he means business, laying it in on Mankind. That is fun to see.
Yeah, and I just talked about this on the episode that went this weekend. It's funny, they started the rivalry in King of the Ring 96, and it like officially ends 2 years later. King of the Ring 98.
Yeah. That's pretty neat.
It's something I think only Kane has a longer rivalry with Undertaker.
Oh, and speaking of Kane, that was a very Kane-like maneuver as Undertaker dives off the top rope to the outside onto Mankind.
With popcorn now stuck in his hair.
Yes, he does. I don't remember that. That is funny. Oh, and his legs are wobbling as we show.
Yeah.
It's not something.
It's not something he is used to here.
Nope.
Mankind is forcing him to come out of his comfort zone.
That's right. I listened a little bit back to the episode we did on this on Talking Taker to try to refresh myself of the storyline a little bit. And during the promos for this, Undertaker says he will destroy the Undertaker if it means destroying Mankind. So he's willing to sacrifice himself completely to take out Mankind. So we're going to see that during this match as him taking things to a new level here.
Mm-hmm. Already at the burial ground.
Yep,
not even wasting time in the ring.
Yeah, of course, if you are watching this and somehow haven't seen it before, that's interesting. Mankind and Undertaker do like a small package roll down the hill.
Mankind forgot there's no ropes at the burial ground.
Of course, the stipulation, you got to bury your opponent alive to win. There's no DQs, no countouts. It's unsanctioned match here, so absolutely anything goes. We're going to see that throughout the match.
As Vince McMahon said, the very first unsanctioned match in WWF.
Right. Yep. And it's a heck of a spectacle. There's this giant dirt pit, this giant grave scene dug up by the ring. The whole set is made up with that. There's the big tombstone that they would show on Raw every week. So I mean, they went all out for this match and this pay-per-view. Really,
they did, and that's a lot of money to pump into something, especially when the business wasn't that good in '96.
Yeah, really made it feel special and unique here.
Yeah.
Even though there's no titles on the line or there's no championship or anything, it didn't matter with these two guys.
It always felt like things meant more if Undertaker was a part of it.
Yep. He didn't have to be the champion. Not at all. And he really wasn't for very much of his time. He had 6 or 7 title reigns, but a lot of them were very short. And it wasn't always about being the champion as he chokes out Mankind here. And we didn't often see Undertaker do things like this, using the cord to
Exactly.
choke Mankind. He didn't have to do those sort of things, but here he's doing things he's never had to do before.
Yeah, and I think later on he even utilizes chairs, which you really haven't seen him. He doesn't go for weapons.
No, not as much. No, really not.
Hmm.
And we're seeing a lot of neon colors in the crowd too. A lot of neon
It's the
windbreakers.
90s. It's the 90s, man.
Yes, it is. I love it. Fighting into the crowd again. This is pre-Attitude Era. You did
Yeah,
not see this
and
sort of stuff very
ooh,
much. Oh
the
wow,
leap, his leaping elbow clothesline.
that was a really awesome spot.
Yeah,
Very cool.
something you're so used to seeing in the ring, he just takes it out of it.
Oh yeah. So I remember watching this. I remember renting the Coliseum video of it back in the day. I didn't really order pay-per-views too often. Usually maybe WrestleMania, maybe SummerSlam, something like that. But we didn't get every pay-per-view at all. But I always rented them. Our video store had a huge wrestling section. Would always get the pay-per-views. So I remember watching this one as a kid, and being being excited for it because it was different. You've
Yeah,
seen casket matches. You've seen cage matches. You never seen a buried alive match before, and you didn't know what that would entail.
yeah, it's the same with me when I first saw WrestleMania 15 with the Hell in the Cell with Big Boss Man. That was the
Right,
first Hell in the Cell I
right.
ever saw. Because it's just,
It only got better from there.
yeah, well, at least he won it, thank
He
God.
did. He did.
And
Paul
man,
Bearer turns the tide here, shakes
yeah,
the ropes during old school. Paul
I,
Bearer, he
I
knows
know,
Undertaker better than anybody.
and I noticed with Mankind, he's usually the only one that really stopped him doing this at this time.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And that's Paul Bearer's influence on him. He's teaching him.
Yeah,
And man, like at this point in time, Mick Foley, he'd been around for a while. Like I say, he'd been Cactus Jack for a long time, but you just watch him in this match. He's in such better shape than he is a couple years from now when you get to that Hell in a Cell with the
yeah,
Undertaker, and especially after that. His body's obviously never the same after that, but here he's in probably the best shape of his life. He's pretty skinny. He's able to move around. He's a lot faster than he was, later on after this. So that's
mhm.
really interesting to see.
It is. It's like a totally different character almost.
Yeah, it is.
How do you feel about Undertaker and Paul Bearer going their separate ways? How did you feel at this time?
Oh, I mean, at the time, it was heartbreaking. They'd been together forever.
Hmm.
You could never think of those two as possibly being separated from each other, and I think that's why it was such a smart thing to do. They did it. They broke it up before it was too late.
I agree.
Similar to like Hulk Hogan joining the NWO. It came at the right time to make something out of it, to make it worth it. And I'd say the same thing for Paul Bearer returning. And again, like in my mind, I would have never thought to do it, but it ended up being a great thing for both guys. It helps Undertaker become a better character. It adds to Mankind. And then, of course, without Paul Bearer turning on Undertaker, we never got Kane. We never
Exactly.
had that incredible storyline. So it ends up being a huge benefit here as
Yeah.
Mankind using a spike he's pulled out to assault the Undertaker, and something we saw early Mankind do a lot of. And again, like doing everything he can here to destroy each other.
Yeah.
So you came in. We talked about you came in sort of 99,
Yeah.
98 era for Undertaker.
Yeah. Around the end of '98.
Yeah, yeah. So, but you can still appreciate this era of Undertaker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love the purple era of the
yeah,
Undertaker. And even afterwards, like '97, like just and the early '98 of stuff I just missed.
yeah.
I love that stuff. Yeah. I'm not a fan of the early Gray, only because I think his opponents were like trash.
Yeah, definitely a different era.
I love him. I love his character work and everything else that he does. But
Right.
it's just the opponents were just trash.
I mean, it's hard to argue that, for the most part it was, and it was a different style. And it was also the era where Undertaker was doing the most of that zombie character. So, not showing off his skills and his talents quite as much. So I get that.
And then also, they didn't run a lot of pay-per-views, so he didn't have a lot of time to feud with different people. So
it's also true.
He just got Kamala, he got Giant Gonzalez, and Hogan, basically.
Yep. Yeah, not a great roster of
No.
opponents.
I like the Jake Roberts match, though, at WrestleMania. I think that one's really good.
I think that's great. I think it's a great rivalry. And I think his match with Yokozuna is really good.
Just at the end. Just at the end.
Right at the end of that era. And it's fun. That era lasted, twice as long as the Purple Gloves era. But I think a lot of people are like you. I think a lot of people love this Purple Gloves era, very sentimental to it.
Yeah.
So
you got better feuds. You got Mankind, Diesel, Hart. So many better ones.
Yeah, I agree. As Mankind drops Taker with a chair. You see the dent on that chair? That was you can see his face print in there. Mankind is licking the chair. He's so excited about it.
If I just hit Undertaker with a chair, I probably would too.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
That's right, because that's probably gonna be on your head soon anyway.
Mm-hmm. And man, you don't see shots to the head with a chair these days anymore.
No,
which probably for a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
but that was the way they did things back then.
Yeah. If you didn't get your hands up, nope. It's sad.
And he did not. He did not get his hands up.
Going back to the grave now.
And a giant PlayStation banner on the apron there. PlayStation 1.
PlayStation 1.
The original.
That's.
Yeah. Fighting on top of the grave site here. Obviously, we don't see as many buried alive matches as we do casket matches. A little bit more difficult to build this set than to just bring a casket out.
I always loved the buried alive set that they were able to construct here. I wish they would tell us, how they did it and everything. Especially,
I think it's awesome.
I do.
I know.
It's one of those things you want to know, like how they constructed it, how they got the people out.
Yep, I don't know the specifics behind it. We talked about it on our podcast. Like it's a pretty incredible little special effect that they pull off here, and how they do it. And no one has really ever shared the secrets behind it. So I think it's one of those cool little mysteries that I guess we as fans will never truly know. Ooh,
Mankind keeps getting tossed off the thing.
Gosh, man, he just took a hip toss 6 feet, man, to the cement.
Unprotected concrete.
Oh, man. I mean, it's so impressive, but my body hurts just thinking about what he's going through. Ooh, man.
Just getting his body ready for 2 years from now.
Yeah, I guess so. And I love that pile driver that Mankind does. So unique. And I love the
going for a pin.
He's going for a pin. Can't do that here, pal. Abner's telling him, no. Gotta get him in the grave. Mankind pulling his hair out, man.
With some landing on the Undertaker. I bet he enjoyed that.
That was a shoot. He's really pulling his hair out.
Yeah,
man.
Really pulling his hair out.
And he really walked around with parts of his head shaved for that's commitment, dude.
It is.
Nobody was committed like Mick Foley was. And this crowd's digging it too. Like I don't have my sound up, but you can see them getting up. You can see them waving their hands. You can see them getting into it. I mean, this is a spectacle.
It is. I love the Undertaker shirt in the front row there. The Undertaker hat. Yep. I miss this type of merchandise. Oh,
I do too. I miss the mullets in the
The
crowd.
mullets.
Well, there are quite a few. Mankind listening to the urn, just cradling it here. Great
Such,
character work from both
such
these
good,
guys.
yeah, such good character work from Mankind.
And the sit up, you see the crowd get all excited with it as well. That works every time. The crowd is
Yeah.
always going to pop anytime
Always.
Undertaker or Kane, anytime either one of them. It's such a brilliant little spot.
Oh, see, Undertaker's using the chair to his advantage now.
Ooh,
Oh,
leg drop on the chair. Paul Bearer didn't like that one.
no.
I love Paul Bearer so much. And here, yeah, so we're getting
It's no,
near.
Undertaker never lost that crowd reaction, even up
No,
up to this anytime he comes out, even up to a year or so ago, and he does that sit up at Extreme Rules, people
yeah,
still they love it.
he could do that in his 70s,
Oh
and the
yeah,
crowd would love it, man.
yeah. Oh, exposing
Ooh,
more concrete around the ring now.
always got
Oh
excited when that
no,
happened. That's some you don't really see that anymore. Like that's not
no.
a spot that really happens in modern day wrestling, but that was always such a big deal back in these days. Is oh,
Oh,
what was that? I don't even know
what?
how to describe that.
I don't know either. Like a back suplex almost.
He had him up. Taker had Mankind up like a Bob Holly, Hardcore Holly's move, the Alabama Slam,
Yeah.
except
He
he
just said like
had,
I'm not carrying him all the way like this. I'm
oh,
just
he just
dropping him.
sat on his face.
He's got this Undertaker utilizing the steps. Definitely something we
Yeah,
haven't seen before.
exactly, man. Again, this feud has just gone to a new level of intensity. And again, remember, this is October 96. We're pre Attitude Era. We're pre like hardcore matches. We're
Yeah.
pre every main event match being falls count anywhere, no DQ. This is really revolutionary for the time, for
Yeah.
WWF at least.
Yeah. It's almost like open the door to it.
Yep.
And a tombstone.
Tombstone on Mankind. And he's looking.
Pointing to the
Oh,
I
he's
love
not
that.
pointing to the WrestleMania sign. He's pointing to the
He's
graveyard.
pointing to the I always remember that image right there of him just pointing there at the tombstone.
I love it, man. It's playing to the crowd.
Yeah. Now he's gotta carry a lifeless Mankind.
And this is he's playing to the crowd because this is the first time they've ever done a match like this. So again, this is pre-internet. Really, this is
Mhm.
the crowd's not listening. They may not know all the rules, but Taker is pointing there. He's saying, "All right, we're going here." And he carries Mankind. He just carried a
Yeah.
280, 300-pound dude from the ring to the graveyard after a 20-minute match.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing that.
Oh, he's Undertaker's in the mandible claw pre-Sacco.
Pre-Sacco, yeah,
So
the
you got
original.
Mankind's dirty fingers from the grave and everything.
That's right. Paul Bearer, nice urn toss up to
Yeah,
Mankind.
look at that.
And just like SummerSlam, he's got to smash him with it. No,
No,
Taker,
going
Goozle.
for choke slam.
Oh, another painful bump. Mankind
Oh,
into the grave.
oh man.
And Taker's going to go to the dirt
Oh,
pile here, shoveling it on.
yeah, this, manpower. This is before they had those loader trucks to have all that dirt for you.
That's it, man. And this is it. The bell rings. Again, I don't have my sound up, but sometime around here, because he's declared the winner.
Yeah, Undertaker. He's still shoveling. I think they declare it soon. Right
It's
there.
so okay. All right. He is officially
He's
won the Buried
Undertaker's
Alive match.
officially the winner.
And it's so funny when we cover this on our podcast.
Yeah.
This is not how I remembered it, because we'll get to here in just a minute. We all remember Undertaker being buried alive.
Yeah.
And so in my head for all this time, I always remember it as Mankind winning the match.
Oh,
But
There goes
Oh,
Hebner.
Ebner takes a huge bump, and
Chioda
Taker clearly wins the match here.
clearly wins the match, but he is pissed, so to speak,
Yep,
with just the antics of Mankind that he is not stopping.
he is not stopping with a little dirt. He's going to send
No.
Mankind for a full-on dirt nap. Totally try to bury him here.
Oh,
Wait, who is that?
the appearance of the Executioner.
The Executioner, one of the
Exclusive figures in the Period of High box set.
only time he's available.
Right.
And that's for a reason, because he only has one pay-per-view match in the company.
2 appearances and 1 pay-per-view match.
Yeah, man. He looks like he's got like a Party City dollar store costume on here. His cheap mask.
Well, you know.
Yeah, it's not the best. Very cartoony.
Yeah.
Looking straight out of the 80s here as he joins Mankind, dumps him in the dirt. It's one of the former Freebirds, Terry Gordy.
That's right. That's what we're thinking of.
He's just not in the best shape these days. So it's just a really disappointing run here as him and Mankind come in. They are just trying to shovel as much dirt on the Undertaker as possible, and the lightning strikes
as quickly as possible, so to speak too.
Yep.
I said you have like 10 minutes left. You know, go out there and do it as quickly as you can.
And they don't have the big backhoe like they did later, and I think that's why, because they learned their lesson off of this time. And it's like, oh, it's taking these guys way too long to get this dirt off the grave. We need to have a machine do it next time. But they got it on there. He's pretty well covered up here.
And when a lot of people, like what you said, a lot of people remember the Undertaker being buried, so they automatically think he loses this match.
Yep, that's the visual that you remember.
Technically a winner. And now we got help from Triple H, Bradshaw, Goldust,
Crush. All out there. So we got
it is a free-for-all to bury the Undertaker.
I wonder if Vince is sitting in the back, or Vince is up front, but I wonder if someone's sitting in the back saying, "This is taking too long. Get any of the heels out here that we can. Let's get them out here."
Everybody who did not have a match this evening, please.
All hands on deck.
Please go to the grave mound.
We're running out of time, and we got to get all this dirt on here for what we have planned in just a second.
Yeah. I think what happens is it literally cuts right after he does it.
Yeah.
I think they were that close.
Yep. I think you're right.
I love that gravestone, though. So well done.
Incredible prop. I want him to show that on the WWE Lost Treasures.
Yeah.
So show me where that is.
The one with Austin also has their photos on it. That's really awesome too.
Really cool. I'd like just like a miniature one of those on my desk.
That'd be a great little Mattel exclusive, like Undertaker, Mankind, and like the little tombstone.
Yep, I agree. Yep, the dirt keeps getting shoveled.
The fans are not happy with this. They are tossing garbage to these people.
They are. And Paul Bearer is sweating up a storm. Yep. You see some cups and some cans getting tossed in there.
Oh, nice shot.
Yeah. And once one person does it, the whole crowd starts getting into it.
Oh, yeah.
Paul Bearer, he's a professional, man. I can't stop looking at him. He's trying to do his best. He's staying in character. He's trying to.
Thinking to himself, how long are we doing this for?
Yep.
How much longer do I have to scream here?
But he never stops. He never breaks character. That's why he's the man.
And those Coca-Cola cups are being buried along with him.
Yep. No time to dig them out. They're just going in there. Some good product placement for Coca-Cola. Goldust, of course, had some feuds with Undertaker before this, and Bradshaw shoveling dirt. He's going to go on to have a few runs with Undertaker, and Triple H, most famously, of course, of all these guys, going to have WrestleMania matches with the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Undertaker and Mankind, interestingly, they never had a WrestleMania match for all of their
Yeah,
classic rivalries.
which was which was odd to me. I know Mankind comes like the day after WrestleMania 12,
right.
so it's like he just missed it.
Yep.
They probably would have built to like WrestleMania 13, I think, if they didn't give Undertaker the title shot.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'm
Yeah.
guessing 13.
Yeah, that probably makes the most sense out of any other time. I think you're right.
Yeah.
It would have been that would have been interesting, or having those two guys main event instead of Undertaker and Sid. That could have been a really cool story.
Yeah.
The culmination of their epic rivalry. I never thought about that, but that's really interesting.
Yeah, and they can still have made it for a title. Like Undertaker could have won like that Fatal 4 one to win the championship or whatever.
I mean, honestly, Mankind could have. He was such a hot character that he could have been the heel champ.
I know, yeah.
WrestleMania 13 and have Undertaker finally, like for the first time, get a win over him. That could have been really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And still shoveling.
Still shoveling, but Undertaker has made a dent in the feud margin. He is now Mankind's up 2-1.
Picked up the win here for sure.
Undertaker will tie it up at Survivor Series, make it 2-2.
Which to me, that match at Survivor Series the month after this, it's a bit of a letdown because it's just a regular singles match. Except you got Paul Bearer suspended in a shark cage, but after you go to Buried Alive, which is this epic. I mean, you're burying a human being alive. It's more than just a wrestling match. And then you just go to a singles match after that. It's kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
And I think finally we've reached.
Yeah, finally we've made it to stabbing the shovel in the grave.
Yep, and we've got a grave camera in there.
Didn't even do much because of all the dirt, but it's just the image.
Finally, these guys are exhausted. That was probably more exhausting than the match with shoveling that dirt
probably
on there. And they're satisfied with their day's work. They've killed the dead man. Surely there's nothing he can do.
Yeah, he is surely gone forever, as Paul Bearer has been shouting.
And he turns the urn upside down yet again.
But
lightning crashes.
What was that? Is the dead man dead?
What is happening?
No.
Oh, my.
The classic call from Vince. He's alive. The Undertaker lives.
The hand reaches out of the grave.
Oh, I love this image.
It's iconic.
It is.
Absolutely. And that's why myself and probably a lot of other fans, probably a lot of your listeners, we remember it as Undertaker losing because he's the one in the grave. He's the one whose hand comes out at the end. Mm-hmm. But interestingly enough, he actually won the match. But Mankind gets the last laugh, except it's not the last laugh because the glove comes out.
Right.
And as we mentioned, it's the last time we see that purple glove until until that Buried Treasures show on A&E. We see Undertaker find that old outfit and that old mask, the Phantom mask. So we really never saw it again until then.
I know. I mean, and also this is the only Buried Alive match that Undertaker does something after being buried alive. Because after he's buried alive by Austin, nothing happens, and when he's buried alive by Vince and Kane, nothing happens at the end.
That's right.
So
that's right. But I will say, interestingly enough, it doesn't happen on the show, but both of those are big character changes.
That's
for
right.
all three of them. After this one, he comes back with a different outfit, new look, new attitude. After the one with Austin, he gets buried, and that's when the Ministry of Darkness really starts forming after that point. And then, of course, after the one with Vince, that's when the Biker Taker is buried, and we get the rebirth of the dead man. So it's pretty cool how they use these Buried Alive matches throughout the years to indicate these big changes in Undertaker's career.
Yeah. Much to, Undertaker has to lose them to change, but...
Right. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? At the Undertaker's expense, much like a lot of the matches were.
Yep. Well, that was fun, man. I enjoyed watching it back.
That was super fun. I think it was better than I thought it was. It's a
Yeah,
much better match than I thought it was.
I felt like that too, especially as a kid. I don't think I appreciated it as much as I do as an adult, but there's
Mhm.
some great storytelling, very physical, very intense match. And again, just thinking about it from that perspective of the time of when it was and how ahead of the time the
Yeah,
match was, I think that makes me appreciate it even more.
yeah. And the ending is just as long as I remember it though. Of
That is,
all that burying. Oh, it's
yep,
like
that's the only,
they did not plan that in advance.
nope, they had no idea how long that was going to take. And
Oh,
again, that's why from every time after this, there's always a big backhoe that drives
yeah,
out and dumps
every
the dirt.
time. Yeah,
But that's all right. You know, it's
yeah,
still entertaining, and you can hit fast forward a little bit to get to the very end of it.
of
But
course.
other than that, it's definitely worth watching, especially if you haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, and I'm glad you chose it because it's definitely something that needs to be rewatched every so often.
I agree. I agree. Thanks
Yeah.
for inviting me on to watch it.
Of course. Thank you, Alex, for being here. You're always welcome on the show. If I would love to do another watch along with you or another interview segment, anything you want to do, it's your call.
Yeah, man, I'm
You're the
I'm happy
guest.
to join. Yep,
Thank you so much.
absolutely, my pleasure.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Yeah, you're a wonderful guest to talk to and everything. I love it.
Thanks, man. Well, keep up the good work with collecting Deadman.
Thank
Keep
you.
growing the collection.
Thank you. I try. I try.
Yep,
Some weeks are better than other weeks.
that's part of the game. You
Yeah.
know, you know.
You want to get things that you want to check off your checklist. You don't want to get things like, oh, I just found this. I'll just buy this.
No, you can't buy it all at once either. You know,
Of
that's no
course.
fun either. You got to have the
No.
hunt, and you got to have those big items that you're
You gotta
chasing
have
after
the long
forever.
game. You gotta have the long
That's it.
game.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we have to do this again. It's very fun.
Anytime, anytime.
Yes. Thank you again for joining me here. And I hope all my listeners enjoyed the special watch along episode of Buried Alive. It's always a pleasure talking to Alex Doriot of Talking Taker fame. And just stay tuned for more watch along episodes. And it's always fun to revisit classic Undertaker moments and matches. So thank you again, Alex.
My pleasure. Take her easy.
To you too.
All
Bye.
right, man. Thanks a lot. It was a blast.
It was. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Seriously. Anytime.
Awesome.
All right, man.